Welcome back to Legalese 123, where we are covering cases across America. Hello and welcome back to Legalese 123. I am your host, Missy K. I hope you're doing well on this Friday, the 6th of March. Time just goes by. Well, we have a small reprieve from the Corey Richins trial today. There is no trial today. Partially, I am grateful for that because boy, oh boy, can it be overwhelming to have a trial all day long. There's only so much time that you can sit and just wait for them to put evidence into the proceedings. It can be a lot. But so what do we have going on today? Well, guess who's back in action? Guess who's back? Back again. Karen Reed and her team are back again. Why? Oh my goodness gracious. I mean, this stuff, you just can't with this. You can and you can't, right? So the cell phone disputes that she has, right? The Norfolk District Attorney's Office has hold of two of her phones that they seized from her. Apparently they haven't gone through or downloaded them just yet. Remember, we had a hearing a couple of weeks ago in reference to Judge Krupp stated that she could have her phones back. And unfortunately, guess what? They went in front of Judge Doolin, and Judge Doolin said, hold my beer. No, you're not going to get them back just yet because Special Prosecutor Robert Cosgrove is back in action again. Who's Robert Cosgrove? Robert Cosgrove is the special prosecutor in the Aidan Carney witness intimidation case, right? He wants Karen Reed's phones because he thinks there might be something in them that would lend to his belief that Carney intimidated witnesses. They also want to pin something back on Karen Reed. Is she intimidating witnesses? We don't know. So they still have her phones. Well, Marc Diller, who is the attorney for John O'Keefe's family in the wrongful death suit that the O'Keefe family is suing Karen Reed, says, we want those phones. So he actually made a call into the judge at the time of the hearing, even though he is not a party to that. But he made a request, and Judge Doolin, politely answered his request. So they're seeking an emergency restraining order to prevent the return of the phones and arguing that they contain incriminating evidence. There also is some alleged evidence that Reed had commented regarding the contents of her phone. For example, he misquoted her saying something along the lines, and I'm gonna butcher it, but like, if they get a hold of my phones, oh my gosh, there's like incriminating herself. So they had a small hearing yesterday. It was more of a status hearing yesterday, and we'll go over that. But they are actually physically in court today, and guess who's there? Yours and mine's favorite, Mr. Alan Jackson. That is right. They are getting ready to, I don't know, state stuff. Now, also, I want to remind you that Karen Reed also responded in an email back to her lawyers about something, and she sent to all, right? So remind you, if you're sending an email to somebody, make sure when you reply and you do reply all, you know who you're replying to, because she stated some information in her email and now they want to use it against her. I'm telling you, people, words matter. Words will be used against you. So let's go ahead and head into court and see kind of what they argue today and how is this going to go, etc. It's going to be very interesting. And let's see who's going to say what. So currently right now, this is Marc Diller. He is the lawyer for the O'Keefe family. And there's Mr. Jackson. There is Karen Reed. And I believe this is Mr. Rosenberg. But we will see as they announce themselves, etc. So let us begin. There's Mr. Jackson. Oh, yes, that's Mr. Rosenberg. Oh, there's Karen. Oh, who is Alan talking to? Like, is this celebrity meet and greet? Look, Karen seems annoyed. There's the O'Keefe family. This is Paul O'Keefe. This is his wife. This might be the niece. Just a reminder that if you don't know the Karen Reed case, Karen Reed was accused of unaliving her Boston cop boyfriend at 34 Fairview in Canton when they had gone to a after party, meaning they had gone to 2 bars and then there was an after party. Something happened to John O'Keefe. He was found dead on the lawn at 34 Fairview. There's a big controversy about it. They had 2 trials. The first trial was a mistrial. The second one, they acquitted her, but they did charge her with a DUI. So that happened a year ago. Can you believe that? That happened a year ago and then a year ago. But John O'Keefe was taking care of his niece and his nephew. He was their guardian because John's sister, I forget her name, she passed away. Then his brother-in-law passed away very shortly afterwards. And so the children had no parents. John, who was single, didn't have any children, took on the responsibility of taking care of them. Karen was also I would consider a mother figure to them. And so she was helping out with raising the children. John O'Keefe passed away. So now the 2 children are left with no parents, no uncle. So now they've been taken up by other family members. But I know that the daughter, I don't think the nephew is, but I know that the niece is part of the suit. So there you have it. Hope I did it justice. There's so many moving parts here. So many moving parts. The O'Keefe family is also suing the 2 bars, C.F. McCarthy and Waterfall. Remember, Karen was charged with a DUI. Did they overserve her? This is a civil suit in Plymouth. They got a new judge. The other judge, I forget what he was doing, retiring or something. There is Karen Reed's father. So Alan Jackson was Karen Reed's one of her criminal attorneys. He's in Los Angeles, based in Los Angeles. He flew back to Boston to be at this hearing, obviously super important. Karen Reed's parents. I'm zooming because we can. There's been a lot of filings in this. Some of them are boring. Uh-oh, it's not catching up. Oh, now it's starting to get really busy. They must let the gallery in. The public gets to come in. I believe this gentleman here is Mr. Murphy. He was a former police officer in the Canton Police, and he is a staunch supporter of Karen Reed and Karen Reed's suit. Because just remember, Karen Reed has her own civil suit, right? Karen Reed has sued what's called the House defendants, those who were inside 34 Fairview, because they made claims against her. She's also suing Brian Higgins. She's also suing Trooper Michael Proctor. She's also suing the town of Canton and the Massachusetts State Police. And Brian Tully, I think. If you want to see more of this, go to my YouTube page and go under Karen Reed. You'll see it. It's all there. believe John O'Keefe's wife is Erin. That's a very small courtroom. Only like 3 benches. Wow, it hasn't even started just yet. Holy smokes.
All stowed away. Everyone's clear on that? Thank you.
Please turn them off. If they're not off, turn them off. If it goes off, you'll be asked to leave.
Court, all right.
The lawyers on the other side, like in the jury box, are from C.F. McCarthy's and the Waterfall. Apparently, there's not enough space for them.
Hey,
Oh.
hey. All persons have any due for this honorable justice. Judge today. Now sitting in the county of Plymouth, remain before the Commonwealth. Draw near. Give your attendance. You shall be heard. God save the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. This honorable court is now in session. Please be seated.
Good morning, Your Honor.
Please.
Good morning, everyone. Today is Friday, March 6th, 2026. This is the Civil D session at Plymouth Superior Court before the Honorable Justice Marc Diller. Your Honor, the matter before the court is civil action number 2483 CV 00692. Paul O'Keefe, individually and personal representative of the estate of John Joseph O'Keefe III et al. Versus C&C Hospitality LLC, doing business as C&F McCarthy's et al. Counsel, if you could please state your name for the record, we can start with the plaintiffs.
Good morning, Your Honor. Attorney Marc Diller on behalf of the plaintiffs.
Morning. Good morning, Your Honor. Attorney Dan Buck on behalf of the plaintiffs.
Morning.
Good morning, Your Honor. Alan Jackson on behalf of Ms. Reed.
Morning.
Good morning, Your Honor. Aaron Rosenberg on behalf of Ms. Reed.
Morning.
Good morning, Your Honor. Art Maravellis on behalf of Karen Reed.
Morning. Morning to everyone else that's here in the gallery. I'd remind those in the gallery to keep in mind the instructions that the court officer gave you a little while ago. Before we get started, can I talk to counsel at the side of the bench, please?
Already a sidebar. Already it's sidebar. Oh, this is a long sidebar. Uh-oh. Well, guess what's not happening? All right. Well, streaming is fun. Something happened and they were just at sidebar forever and a day. So let's see if this is going to work. Is that it? Oh.
So the parties have consulted, and I understand there's a consensus moving forward, hopefully. So Attorney Diller, why don't you set forth what's been agreed to?
Your Honor, thank you for the opportunity to meet and confer. The parties have met and conferred. The agreement that we have in place is the plaintiffs are going to withdraw the current motion that's sitting before this court. The parties have agreed to act in an expedited fashion towards either reaching a stipulation or some agreement as to how to deal with the issue for the phones on or before the date that they get released back into the custody of Karen Reed. And we have agreed that we will continue to work in good faith towards that end. I also want to acknowledge to this court and to Ms. Reed that I was mistaken when I interpreted her words to say, I'm dead, I'm effing dead.
Thank you. Ms. Reed?
Your Honor, generally, that is the agreement that we've reached. The one
clarification I would provide is that we are going to work in an expedited fashion to come up with an agreement for how the phones will be accessed and searched, et cetera. But that expressly is through our office, through Mr. Reed's counsel. Plaintiff's counsel is going to propose to us what they believe we should do to review and produce those documents, and we're going to try to agree on that kind of protocol.
And absent an agreement, you'll come back.
Correct, Your Honor.
Okay, and the prior agreements relative to the extractions remain in place.
Correct.
Okay, and the counsel from Ms. Reed have agreed, consistent with the temporary order that I put in, that there'll be no deletions or anything made from the phones, correct?
That's correct, Your Honor.
All right, so I'll just keep that order in place, and if you need my assistance, not that I did very much today, but if you need it the next time, let me know, and we'll give you a date, okay?
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Very much.
There you go.
Boy, all right.
Court stands in recess.
I think that's
All right. Wow. That was a big nothing burger now, wasn't it? Okay. So let me see. So I didn't bring this up, but I will. All right. So what's going on? In a civil case, the lawyers usually don't grandstand so much, but this is Karen Reed. This is Karen Reed in her cases. And so grandstanding will happen. I find it hilarious, et cetera, as to all of what's going on, because it's so funny, right? So let's see. My mouse is not cooperating with me. There we go. All right, so let's bring this up. This was a court filing. Let me see if I can bring this up. Here we go. Add to the screen. All right. What are they talking about here? So let's see if I can. That's really big. Is that too big? Too big. Okay. So plaintiff's emergency motion for temporary restraining order pursuant to the Rule 65 to prevent release of evidence. So as you know, Norfolk District Attorney has 2 of Karen Reed's phones. They've had it for a very long time, like a couple of years now, right? And she's fighting to get those back. Why? They're hers and she wants them. There is no criminal case pending that they should have evidence, because once you're done, your evidence gets back to you. She got her car back. She wants her phones back. And so Mr. Marc Diller, as you just saw him get up and apologized, made this statement in his filing. He's quoting Karen saying, "I'm dead. I'm effing dead. Do you have any clue what's on the phone that they took?" So it says, "Now comes the plaintiff's respectfully request this court to issue an order restraining Karen Reed from taking possession of her phones in the custody of the Norfolk District Attorney's Office." they're her phones, before the plaintiffs have the opportunity to digitally image the phones so a full record of the phones is maintained and communications and data reasonably calculated to lead to discovery of admissible evidence are preserved. Plaintiffs request a temporary restraining order to maintain the status quo pending a formal hearing on the matter as grounds therefore. Plaintiffs respectfully while Karen Reed was charged criminally in connection with the January 2022 death of Boston police officer John O'Keefe, investigators seized a cell phone belonging to Reed as a part of the murder investigation. At some point thereafter, police seized other phones belonging to Karen Reed in connection with prosecuting blogger Aidan Carney, also known as Turtle Boy, for witness and juror intimidation in Reed's criminal case. I don't know if it was juror intimidation. That doesn't sound right. The devices remained in government custody through Reed's 2024 trial and 2025 retrial. Late 2025, the Norfolk District Attorney's Office, in connection with Carney investigation, sought authorization to search Reed's phones for relative evidence. They did. So, if you recall, they tried to indict her and they tried to indict Aidan Carney on witness intimidation. They went to a grand jury and they got a no bill, which means they do not have evidence to support charge, but they still have her phones. Okay. So I thought, okay. In February 2026, Norfolk Superior Judge Krupp denied their request to search the phones with the decision under seal. On Thursday, February 19th, Reed sought an immediate return of her cell phones in order to prevent the immediate and irreparable loss of evidence crucial to plaintiff's claim. We filed an instant motion. So they want to preserve the phone so they can get a hold of it, right? So they said that Reed was feeding information to Carney. Here's an interview with HBO that supposedly she stated that Nathan only started talking to Turtle Boy after Turtle Boy got involved. John was always a fan, and John liked one of my conduits early on. The lawyers told me that we could share anything with him as long as it was public and not for me to do directly, to go through a third party. This was the protocol for a while, and then I started to get nervous about who I was using for a third party because I started to trust Turtle Boy to an extent. But the information I'm giving him is valuable, and I need to trust the middleman. I didn't want to have any of my close friends to do it because I didn't want to put them in the spot. So I eventually just started sending things to him directly. But I would tell him, I would give him some backstory. Relaying it through someone who had a few glasses of wine to have it related to Turtle Boy, I thought, I've got so much patience here. I've just got to talk to this kid directly. And then we started talking about the case probably once a day, almost every day, 5 to 6 days per week. It was like a quid pro quo. He was getting tips that were better than a lot of tips that we were getting. When Carney was investigated criminally, police seized Reed's phones. These phones are subject of this motion, but they didn't indict her on witness intimidation. So this is their argument. On July 2025, plaintiffs propounded discovery and preservation orders upon Reed and a subpoena requesting the extractions from these phones. None have been provided to the date and no privilege log was provided. Counsel for defendant Reed confirmed that no information from Reed's cell phones, which include 900,000 plus pages, document dump provided in 2025 and in 2025 again. Should the cell phones be returned to Reed and their contents altered, plaintiffs will suffer irreparable prejudice in prosecuting their emotional distress claims. Conversely, Reed's claim that she needs the phones returned urgently stands in contradiction to her speaking to the press from the courthouse steps using different personal cell phone just this past Thursday. So, there was a big hubty-dubty-doo because Marc Diller obviously misquoted her and it blew up. So Karen Reed doing the reply all to everybody stating something different, and then Marc Diller putting this in a motion, it was just like blasphemy, right? Blasphemy. And everybody was like, oh my gosh, Marc Diller said this. So there was a hearing yesterday, and I'll show you that. So let me remove that. There was a hearing yesterday, and yours truly was on that Zoom call. Let me see if I could get another one. So stop that. Let's see. Da 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 da. No, not that one. There we go. Oop. Okay. Oh, well, see. Add to stage. All right. So yesterday there was a hearing. This is the judge. This is Marc Diller. This is Mr. Buck. This is Mr. Rosenberg. This is Mr. Marabellis. I believe these two are the attorneys for the waterfall. So I am going to summarize what was said because I don't think that I can play this because as you see, there's a big note here. I'll get rid of myself. There is a big note here that says there is no live streaming of this hearing. Now, I am not live streaming it. I'm recording it. I recorded it. I don't think I can play it back, and I don't want to get in trouble with the court. So I took some notes, and so I will tell you what has transpired. All right. So Mr. Rosenberg said that they were working on minor issues about the phone dispute. Any issues assessing Dan Buck. They met Monday. Plaintiffs have some files, they were having problems with the files, etc. So they're working on that. Again, there was an in-person meeting today. The judge said, am I going to see some of you tomorrow? Discoveries and depositions. Karen's attorneys said that in the next 10 days, they're really close, but there's been some people who weren't able to make it. Again, it's just a lot of like, this is what's going on. Hassett, who is the waterfall attorney, said that they're doing depositions as well, but they're doing it in conjunction, I guess, with Reed's attorneys. Marc Diller is working on some depositions as well, but again, nobody has anything just yet. They were having some issues with discovery. Some people complied, but the discovery, Reed's attorneys say that discovery is continuing. They're tracking down documents for the third party. The third parties are Canton and MSP. They did get some documents, about 50,000 emails, but it wasn't what they were looking for. There's 300 pages of emails that they're going over. They said that MSP is not complying with their request for information, and so they might do a motion to compel. The same with Canton in reference to Sergeant Good. They didn't get any docs. The stuff that they got was not pertaining to what they were looking for. They are not complying with the order. This is the Canton Police. And so there might be a motion to compel coming forward with that as well. So 2 motions to compel because they have not come back. Some people have filed an issue for discovery extension. That's normal. They again, we're talking about the 9C conference preservation protocol. So they were talking about the phones. The judge said, well, you have 18 hours to take care of this before our next meeting. So what's going to happen with that? So that's pretty much what this hearing was about. And this hearing was yesterday, the 5th in the morning or in the afternoon. And then as you just saw, today was the 6th. So what does this all mean, right? Judges don't want to be the babysitters of lawyers. They don't want to have to say, well, you didn't do this and you didn't do that, but they will if you don't do what you're supposed to. So they're supposed to, outside of the four walls of the courtroom, they're supposed to be working together towards a common goal. And does that always work? No. But in today's hearing, they met behind closed doors. They all talked it over. And as you heard, Karen Reed's team, once they get the phone, they're going to do an extraction. They're going to look it over. They're going to talk with the other side to see what it is that they're looking for. And then they'll go ahead and get it. You don't just say, hey, I want to preserve those phones and I want everything on it. That doesn't happen. This is not a criminal case. This is a civil case. Criminal case, you have to give over your phone. Your phone is part of evidence. They get to extract it and they get to go through it. In a civil case, you don't get to do that. You don't just get everything handed to you. You have to make a motion to argue, hey, I think there's something probative on this phone. This is what I want. And then you argue whether it is or it isn't probative, etc. But not more than often, they ask for something. The lawyers bargain back and forth to see what's going to happen and who's going to get what well before the judge steps in. So as you heard, that's what's going to happen. Is Karen Reed going to get her phones back? They think the thing that everybody fails to understand is that she doesn't have them. And when they went in front of Judge Doolin, Robert Cosgrove said he's going to appeal Judge Krupp's decision. And then Doolin said he was going to take it under advisement. So currently right now, we don't know what's going on with them. And the filing for this is, if I'm not mistaken, and correct me if I'm wrong, it's under a search warrant filing under Karen Reed's criminal case. And people can't get into that because it's done. So it's bizarre. It's like, are you trying to hide something from the public? If you know anything about the Karen Reed case, you know there's so many shenanigans going on there's so much going on. And even if these people had no involvement in anything to do with John O'Keefe's death, boy, you sure are acting shady, right? There's just so much shenanigans going on that you're just like, why? Anyways, I'm not going to get into that because I don't think we'll ever really find out what happened to John O'Keefe. And if we do, wow, that will be amazing. But in the meantime, we don't. So this is where we are in the Karen Reed case. A whole bunch of big to-do about nothing. But in the end, as you heard, Mr. Marc Diller misquoted Karen Reed, and he had to apologize for that. So that was pretty big, because if you got to stand up and it's televised in live court and you got to apologize, that's a big deal. So that was not good. Probably they're like, we want a public apology. Oh my goodness. So that's where we're at in the Karen Reed saga. Will this continue? Absolutely. What's next on the docket? Let me just see if I can see quickly. I think they have another hearing on the 16th of March. And again, it's just really just like a status hearing. Who's doing what? What's going on? No, sorry. The next one is the 31st. At the end of the month at 3 p.m., the 31st. So And again, there is no trial date so far for a civil case, and civil cases can take years. Years. Sometimes judges push forward for it and they want a date on the calendar, and some just don't. So that's what's going on. I also want to remind you that there is the Aiden Carney motion the mega motion to dismiss. That is on the 27th of March. And so we don't know what's going to go on with that. We don't know if that's going to be televised. I'm sure that the media is going to say, let's do it, but we'll see. You know, I have not looked at Aiden's case in a while. I should probably do a recap on that. So if I'm wrong, let me know in the comments as to what's going on. I've been engrossed in Corey Richins. That is taking a lot of energy just to produce everything from, you know, watching the trial and giving updates and then producing any of the text messages, etc., that come out. So it's a lot. All right, so make sure to like and follow if you want to hear more about Karen Reed or anything else that's going on. Just remember, I do a quick wrap up, about 3 minutes or less, on my shorts, on YouTube, on the Twitter X, and on my Facebook page. I also post all of the, if I have a document, I post it and I put it on there. Now, I haven't for Karen Reed for a while because I've been busy with Corey Richins, but you just never know. So like the Facebook page and that'll kind of give you updates, etc. Well, thank you for watching. Like and comment. Let me know what you think is going on or how you're feeling about this case. And we'll see you again on the next one. Thanks for watching Legalese 123. If you like what you saw, please like and subscribe for more content.